happening now. This morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson is set to announce a new chair of the House Intelligence Committee, one day after abruptly removing Congressman Mike Turner from that post. Turner told CBS the decision to remove him stemmed from, quote, concerns from Mar-a-Lago. Speaker Johnson denies the president-elect had any involvement. Let's get right to CNN's Lauren Fox for the latest on this. Good morning, Lauren.
Yeah, good morning, John. Instead, what Speaker Johnson is arguing is this is just an opportunity to refresh the cast of characters who are going to be leading his committees in this next Congress. Here's what Mike Johnson said to us last night.
It's a new Congress. We just need fresh horses in some of these places. This is not a President Trump decision. This is a House decision, and this is no slight whatsoever to our outgoing chairman. He did a great job.
And obviously, that is not how Mike Turner is seeing it, given the fact that you have a situation where this is a highly regarded position on Capitol Hill. This is a really important position because Republicans and Democrats often work hand in glove together when it comes to national security issues that concern the country. This is not really a partisan position traditionally. And I also want to give you a sense of what Democrats on the committee are saying. Jim Himes, who's the top Democrat on intelligence, said, quote, his removal makes our nation less secure and is a terrible portent for what's to come. The Constitution demands Congress function as a check on the executive branch, not cater to its demands. He said later, quote, one of the reasons I was confident in Mike's ability to do oversight was that he, was not quick to bend the knee. Again, just emphasizing the fact that on this committee, in the House and in the Senate, traditionally, these have been roles that have always tried to be above politics. John?
All right, Lauren Fox for us. Keep us posted if Mike Johnson names who he wants the next chair to be. With us now, Alyssa Farah-Griffin, CNN political commentator, former Trump White House communications director, and Bakari Sellers, CNN political commentator. And just to remind people where Mike Turner, I should say, stands on some issues, very pro-aid to Ukraine. He did not try to block the election of Joe Biden in 2020 and 2021. So what does it tell you, Alyssa? Mike Turner clearly believes that it's Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago that's keeping him from remaining as chair. What does it tell you, if he's right, that Donald Trump doesn't want Mike Turner there?
Well, listen, Mike Turner voted with Donald Trump about 90% of the time in the first administration. So this is someone who is a deeply conservative member, somebody who's always been respected with the rank and file in the House GOP, but he's someone who's acknowledged Russia's interfered in our elections and attempted to. He's somebody who's been very skeptical of TikTok and, to your point, supports aid to Ukraine. So on some of these top line issues that would come before the Intel Committee or that they may touch, he's not aligned with Donald Trump. And as Lauren said, yes, the Intel Committee has largely remained above the political fray. Not more recently, though. Devin Nunes was known for really politicizing the committee. Adam Schiff on the left, I think many would argue, politicized it at times. And I think Donald Trump wants someone who represents his perspective and his point of view in that position. And it shows that Mike Johnson's going to cater to what Donald Trump wants once he's sworn in.
Quickly, Bakari, any concerns from the Democratic side on this?
I mean, no, this further goes to the infighting that we know is going to happen in the Republican Party. But I don't believe that many people thought Donald Trump would have his thumb on the pulse of House Republicans all the way down to committee chairmanships. I have a feeling this has more to do with TikTok than people are actually, as Alyssa alluded to, than people are actually giving credit for it. We know that Mike is opposed to having a TikTok within the confines of the United States, and then we see now that we're going to have a Chinese state-owned media executive who owns TikTok sitting in the box at the inauguration along with 3 other billionaires. It should cause people's stomachs to turn just slightly.
All right, well, talk to me more about that, Bakari, because President Biden, in his farewell address, focused in on the tech industrial complex and warned of an oligarchy. Now, there are policy and legacy reasons that he's doing that. I mean, Dwight Eisenhower talked about the military-industrial complex. We're still talking about it, but also I think some political maneuvering here. What do Democrats see as an opportunity in shining a light on this new, as they see it, oligarchy?
So, Berman, what I just did is what they call a segue or a transition in the business. So that's how these conversations merge. But no, when you look at just the imagery, I mean, let's go to inauguration, for example. you're going to have Elon Musk, you're going to have Jeff Bezos, you're going to have Mark Zuckerberg, and now you actually have the CEO of TikTok sitting in the dais, non-elected officials who have their finger on the pulse and can pull kind of the strings of the president of the United States. It should send shivers up your spine. And the reason being is because the Bill Ackmans of the world, the Mark Andreessens, who now is apparently a new HR director for the Trump White House, the Jeff Bezos, who is stripping the Washington Post for parts, the Elon Musk, who would prefer the United States resemble South Africa than anything else. And then you have people like Mark Zuckerberg, who is just trying to preserve Facebook from 230 lawsuits, antitrust lawsuits, etc. These people are there for their own self-interest. And what happens to the individuals who are affected in Middle America? What happens to Black folk in poor rural America? What happens to these people, the Hispanic voters who who have the uncertainty of immigration laws coming in? And what happened to grocery prices? And so when you begin to look at what's affecting everyday common people, I can guarantee you the Ackmans, the Andreessens, the Zuckerbergs, the Bezos, the TikTok CEOs, the Musk, they don't have your best interest at heart.
Alyssa, how salient do you feel that can be as a political issue for voters going forward?
Well, I think the left needs something that's going to reinvigorate its base coming off of this massive loss to Donald Trump. And I think that they kind of are having this identity crisis. I think going after corporate oligarchs and these billionaires who are running the country is a motivating message. The one thing I'd say that I largely agree with Bakari, but I think many on the right would also say that there's been a heavy hand that corporate America has had in the past of siding with the left. The Washington Post was hardly seen as right wing in the first Trump term. I think you could say similarly that the criticisms of Mark Zuckerberg were that he often skewed algorithms and his corrections on Facebook to the left. I think a lot of this is opportunism from some of these CEOs seeing Trump coming in. They want to get into his good graces. But on TikTok, it's a complete flip-flopping of what Trump stood for, and it's a company that wants to continue to stay in position while he's in power.
Bakari, one last question here. President Biden gave his farewell address last night, and he thanked Vice President Kamala Harris for the work that she has done. The Wall Street Journal this morning, though, has a little bit of a juicy article saying that Vice President Harris isn't too happy with President Biden, and people look into how they behaved with each other at the Carter funeral. They didn't seem to talk that much. The Journal says Vice President Kamala Harris has told close allies and family members she's disappointed in President Biden's recent contention that he would have won the 2024 election. What do you think about that?
I think it's much ado about nothing. I mean, their relationship, which many people still don't value as much as they should or somewhat underestimate, goes all the way back to Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Yeah, I mean, if you lose a race and then somebody else comes out there and says they could have won, and it's somewhat rooted in disillusionment, there's no way in hell Joe Biden was going to win that race. I don't think any Democrat was going to win that race with the headwinds the way they were. Yeah, it is somewhat of a gut punch, but that doesn't mean that you're going to fall out with that individual. I mean, brothers and sisters have arguments every day, fathers and daughters, etc. And so I believe their relationship is just as strong. And you saw her last night along with Dougie sitting next to Joe Biden in the Oval Office while he gave that farewell address. I just think that the Vice President of the United States is extremely tired and looking forward to a future that is uncertain right now, where she has many paths. I mean, she can go home to Dougie, or she can become a professor, or she can run for governor, or she can sit back and run for president of the United States. So continue to be the best you possible, Kamala Harris, and I think she'll be just fine.
I want to know if Doug Emhoff has a pet nickname for you, Bakari. Bakari Sellers, Alyssa Vera Griffin, thank you both so much for being with us.